We are back at it years later. Full disclosure, this project has been completed and sold off in the meantime, but I want to move on to new things, and some type of weird mental block is preventing me from starting new videos until I finish this series out. At any rate, I'm going to do a light voiceover here so you can see what I'm doing in the videos. By the end of part 3, we had a rough bed frame, and then we had drilled and tapped the main rails for the drawer itself. Not pictured was me welding up the rest of the drawer and also connecting the two sides of the frame down at the bottom to make it kind of hold it square. What you see me doing here is getting the vertical supports in place that will give a lot more rigidity to the frame. Man, I always underestimate how time consuming it is to get everything set up to weld. The vertical supports are in, and now I'm going to put this 3/8 rod on the other side to support the 5/8 plywood sheet. Getting my bandsaw all set up for a 45-degree cut. Okay, I've got my 6 pieces of 3/8 inch square stock cut down, and in this clip I am putting a 45-degree bevel on the end just to make sure it doesn't catch anything walking by. There's going to be 3 on the bed frame side, and then there'll be 3 on the bookshelf / kitchenette side, and that will hold the plywood in between the bed frame and the kitchenette so I can put a queen size mattress in there. Here you see me making a mistake and putting these supports evenly spaced across the entire bed frame. Now later you'll see that I want to put my cooler kind of on the tailgate side of the bookshelf / kitchenette side, so I'll actually need to move one of those supports farther down, and I'll end up re-spacing the 2 supports that are at the end. Now you'll see that I actually lied earlier and I did not fully weld out the drawer. You can kind of see it sitting partially in the shadows there. So I'm just going to flip over the entire bed frame, slide the drawer in upside down so I can weld the bottom edges of those mitered joints. Bzzz. All right, that's the sound of me welding. Hopefully my obsession with these time-lapse clips ends soon, and we can actually get some more useful content instead of just watching me soundlessly wander around my garage. Now I'm getting my particle board set up and cut out so it'll drop into the bedside frame. Obviously, particle board is not the ideal material here, but it was cheap, and this is more of a proof of concept at the beginning. My thought was that I'd get a nicer piece of wood or maybe even plastic later down the line. And of course, you gotta do a little test laydown. The dream is coming together. I know it's a little dark in here, but again, just to recap, so full length drawers on the left hand side. I want to leave this open like a little hallway, but I am going to put cabinets. I call them cabinets, just like a little shelf and storage over here, and it's only going to go out to the wheel well, so I'll be able to have an identical panel, of course only 80 inches long, but I'll have an identical panel that can slide in here, and that way I'll have a full width, for the most part, mattress topper. So what I'll have to do is I'll have to fill in this area to make that flat, and then I'll have, a sleeping area from here all the way over to here when needed, and it'll be split in the center. Cushions will be split in the center. That way I can double it up when it's just me in here, or prop it up here or something like that. Cool, I'm excited. Ooh, actually I just realized I could probably store the spare cushion up here to get it out of the way. Anyway, let's get to it.
I've been driving with this in the back for the last week or so, and you can see that it's shifted over to the side. So what I definitely need to do is add some tabs that hold this to the bed. And then now I'm working on this right hand side here. This is pretty dark inside. Hope it turns out. But oops. What I'm going to have is that piece back here. So that's 80 inches, the length of a queen bed. So I'll have this nice little section, hopefully, for my cooler. And now what I need to do is I need another piece that will come up to the horizontal bar here. So vertical on each end, horizontal bar, and then horizontal over to another piece that I'm going to have bolted along here. And that'll likely hold the right hand side in. So let's clamp some things in place. That was a little harder than I anticipated. So what I tried to do is I tried to get this spacing the same, 23.5, which I'm pretty much there once it stands up straight. And this one's level, so I made this one level, and then I measured this distance between these two bars, and it's just 5.5 inches. I wanted it to be a little longer, but that should be okay. We'll figure that out. We might make like a folding tray, but definitely not worried for this trip. One thing I did notice is back here at the very back of the bed, there's a little notch for the top of the bed. So I'm going to have to cut this one down a little bit. I still want this one to be 80 inches long, but I'm going to cut this one down. I could pull this back, but then I think I'll lose room for my cooler. So I'm going to make like 3 5.5 inch pieces, and I'm gonna tack them up and see what happens. So let's do that. Alright, there are a couple things I messed up on and a couple things I want to change. First, I doubt I'm ever going to put a drawer here because I've now made this 80 inches, and I could put a drawer here, but it would kind of look dumb because this one is roughly 8 feet long, 96 inches or so. So that would look kind of funny, but I do like the symmetrical look. But what I've also done is this piece here that should support the right side bed platform is too far in, right? So 80 inches is like right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm likely going to grind this one off and that middle one off, just because I know it'll bother me that it's not centered. Or, I'm just going to grind this one off and move it down one. So that'll be good there. And then this bedside is tapered. So all my horizontal pieces for the top part have to be different lengths. And also, it's a little bit tapered down this way too. At least it seemed like it. I don't know. So I went ahead and cut 6.5 inch pieces for my upper verticals, and we'll see if that works. So I'm going to do 3 supports on the bottom, try to get away with just 2 supports on the top. We'll see. It's a really short counter, so there's not going to be a lot on the top of it. But I'm going to pull this all out of the truck. It's cold, and I'm going to try to weld everything, at least most of it, in the garage. And I'm also going to try to have these 2 pieces in the back. I'm going to have them welded to the right side, and then they'll bolt to this left side. That way I can have just the left side in. I also need to fasten this one to the floor, and I'm going to do that on the left side only. I'm not going to fasten it right here, and then I may fasten this one to the floor. Likely I will. So I'll have 2 brackets over there, 2 brackets over here, and then 2 brackets where these 2 pieces bolt. That's the plan anyway, so let's see how close I can get. I also think I'm going to slide the whole thing off the back of the truck by about a 1/2 inch, and that way I can get some 1/2 inch insulation back there. Should be a little nicer, and I've got plenty of room up front. Let's get to work.
So as stated, I am removing the whole setup from the back of the truck and moving it into the garage to make it a little easier to weld. Quite cold when this was filmed, and also welding inside a truck is a pain. I'd much rather weld on the flat surface of my garage.
I don't know why I insist on balancing all this stuff together, but let me go over a few of the issues that we've got going on. Just because I think it's easier to see it when it's all out of the truck. So the first thing is this support for my 5/8 inch plywood obviously is not far enough in, so I'm going to grind off these tacks. Hopefully it won't be too bad, but I'm going to grind off those tacks. I'm just going to move that back like, I don't know, 18 inches. It'll be a little off center with this one, but I'm not too worried about it. I thought about actually cutting it to 6 inches and doing one here and one here so it's all evenly spaced, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'll probably forget about it, never notice, never use this for anything else. So I have to move that back here. Let's see if I can. So back here, this is the little 2-inch notch to clear the contour on the what I'll call the front of the bed, front of the truck. So that's that little notch, and then this piece will get welded here. This piece will get welded here, and then on this side there will be a little 90-degree bracket that'll just bolt in here. Kind of to be determined, but we'll figure that out. And then, then I'll have to weld the corresponding pieces to this side. Not a big deal. Weld all this up, and then the last thing we'll have to do is once everything gets tacked up and welded, the very last thing we'll do is this piece is the piece that bolts to the bed rail of the truck. So I'll have to drill some holes to just mount this straight to the side of the truck. Maybe like 3, just 1, 2, 3. And then the last thing I have to do when everything's in place is measure my horizontals. I'm hoping I can get away with just 2, 1 on each end, but maybe I'll do 4, maybe I'll do 3. I don't know. We'll figure it out. It's kind of a fine line between being super sturdy and also being useful, because if there's just a whole bunch of bars, it limits what I can store in here. But yeah, that's where I'm at. So I'm going to get all that tacked up. We're going to also, while it's in here and tacked up, we're going to measure for the wood. Should be pretty easy. Should just be a 79-inch piece, because that piece at the back is going to take up 1 inch. So it should be a 79-inch piece. And I can always, change that. Always make that a little longer, because there's no cap on this end. This piece of wood down here is just for spacing to get everything kind of roughly lined up. And I don't want to tack anything in place as is on this garage floor, because the garage floor is not straight. You can probably look back there and see that none of that's straight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of disassemble this piece, and you're going to see me weld each piece kind of individually, and then cross our fingers and hopefully it works. That took way longer than expected. What I have here is the right hand side. So these little guys down here tie in. They just bolt into some riv nuts that's on the left hand side, and this piece runs all the way down. Behind it will be the shelves, and this is the top portion. So this needs to get it'll flip over. So those pieces, verticals, get welded there and there. I'm thinking I'll be okay with just the 2 end pieces. If not, I can always add a third. It's not a big deal. But man, I am super close, and I'm hoping I leave tomorrow on my trip, and I'm hoping I can get this all done. And yeah, let's try it again. All right, I'm supposed to leave in a couple hours. I've got to finish welding all this, and the reason I'm kind of worried about it, I'm probably not even going to be able to put the bed on the right-hand side because I'm going to have a bike in the back of the truck, but The reason I want to get it done is, one, just to freaking get it done, and two, that's what's going to kind of hold my right side down. So on the drawer portion, which is on the left side of the truck, there's only 2 bolts on the left side of the drawers. So the drawers could essentially lift up like this. I'm hoping having everything just tied down a little better is going to help that. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I should probably just leave right now as is. But I've come this far. I really just want to get it done, and there's only a few more things left to do. So what I need to do is drill out holes on the very top part that runs against the side of the bed. That way I can mount this sucker to it and then weld everything up. And it is noon now, so let's see how much we can get done before like 2 o'clock. If I can't get it done by 2, I'm just going to call it quits, use just the bed portion I have done, and get on the road. Okay, so I have the bottom part that runs along the floor. I have the 2 supports that tie into the left side sleeping platform. I have this kind of mid support, and that will hold the sleeping platform that goes on the right side. And the idea is that I can put the head of a bolt through this side, and I'll sandwich that other side against the side of the truck. What I'm going to do is set this in the truck, and I'm just going to drill straight through the existing holes so I know exactly where they line up on the bed rail.
Well, I basically got it done just in the nick of time. Here I am loading the bins into the drawer, and then I swap over to the other side, and I am bolting in that kind of kitchenette bookshelf area to the right-hand side of the truck that will also support my other half of my bed. Then I'll just drop my plywood in and ready to go. And that's pretty much as far as I got. I never ended up building out that right-hand side. I did put the plywood in, and I did build a little shower curtain that kind of held both doors open and gave me some privacy. I did take this truck cross-country multiple times. I camped in it quite a few times. And I really wouldn't change anything. I wish I kind of built out that whole side, but I ended up camping outside more than I spent inside the truck itself, just because the headroom was a little limited. I never did build out the right-hand side drawers, and I really didn't need to. I had so much storage space in the existing bins. But it was a really fun project. I ended up selling it to a guy with a long bed Tundra. Never saw it after that, but I took that money and I bought myself a sliding camper. Anyway, see you in the next one.